To all who will hear me, prepare for the unexpected and the unforeseen. If a person takes this world as givenness and sees every appearance, origin, and generation as coming from another given, and stops at the level of what is observable by eye or by instruments, then a type of worldview forms, which I call Naturica. In Naturic worldview, the problem of universal ontological receivability is not raised. Where everything comes from, how it appears, everything is taken as an initial given. This is how both ordinary people and scientists think. Here is the entire world, from particles to galaxies. Observe it, study it, conduct experiments, write formulas. But all this knowledge concerns only one spherin of the universe, one layer of the whole. But if one reaches the main secret of the world, they will be able to shift to another type of worldview, Ontica. Now we will come to understand that two types of knowledge are possible about one and the same subject, Naturic and Ontic, and they are irreducible to each other. I understand. It's hard to believe, but the world is vast, with inexhaustible content. We've covered only a small part. It is precisely Ontica that brings us to Definistika, the theory of universal world order. It puts forward the C's that will surprise and even shock you. This is not just a hypothesis. These are predictions that have never occurred to the human mind. For example, in Naturica, 2 times 2 is 4, and in Ontica, in warped mathematics, it's not 4, but less. In Naturica, from nothing, nothing. And in Ontica, everything comes from nothing, and in relation to nothing. In Naturica, there is existence and non-existence. In Ontica, there is also anti-existence. The cosmic vacuum is an anti-existing formation generating inertia and space. In Naturica, Copernicus is right. In Ontica, both Copernicus and Ptolemy are right. Each captured one aspect of the planet's functional state. If you ask why most people don't want to be healthy or rich, you'll be surprised. Is there really anyone who doesn't want that? In Naturica, it seems obvious. There are lucky ones, successful ones, rich, healthy, beautiful, stars and idols, and everyone, openly or secretly, envies them. That is the Naturica view. But in Ontica, all of them are ontological thieves. Through the hidden ontological layout, they deprive others. Of course, they are not to blame. They don't even understand this. Those who suffer, the disadvantaged by fate or birth, are donors, and those who bask in fortune are vampires. Naturica studies the world as givenness, Ontica as receivability, one and the same world, but seen through 2 different ways of knowing. This distinction changes everything. Let's say a Cro-Magnon and our universal favorite, our earthly pride, our super genius, Einstein himself, are sitting at the table. They are eating something meaty with gusto. There is a big difference between them in terms of their level of outlook, but there is also something similar. They both have no doubt that they are eating something meaty. Even Herr Einstein has no doubt that he really eats meat, and to the end of his days, he did not understand that nature, as the selfhood of sensory perception, cannot create meat outright. Why not? Because nature is objective. It is strong but not omnipotent, mighty but not all-powerful. It is also under subordination, under the rule of universal ontological objectivity, and this objectivity demands that nothing goes beyond the frameworks and dimensions of on width, ontological width, on layout, ontological layout. On mutuality, ontological mutuality. Everything in the world and the worlds operates by. On equivalence, ontological equivalence, and equivalent compensability. There is nothing magical, nothing miraculous, nothing mystical, and nothing comes for free. And precisely because of these iron laws of objectivity, wise nature cannot, outright, as we sensually perceive it, as selfhood, create anything material. It cannot create energy, fire, earth, water, air. That kind of energy, as it is understood by all people, including scientists, nature cannot produce that kind of energy. This is Ontica. It is the path to the main secret of the world, to the theory of existence, to Definistika. It will inevitably change our understanding of reality. We must look at the world differently, not only through Naturica. I have traveled a long road to reach this secret, and now I am ready to share this knowledge with you, not just knowledge of what exists, but of how allness is received. With Ontica and Definistika, humanity can finally begin to rise to the level of truly developed civilizations. This is our cosmic chance. Join me. Together, we will begin to see the world anew.